I'm Abigail Gamble, reporting live from Calgary for Innovation Week, and I'm joined this evening by Nathan Nasseri, who is the founder of ResVR. Thank you so much for joining me.
A pleasure.
Tell me about your company and what you do.
So ResVR is a 3D visualization software for home builders, and we help them sell upgrades for their houses by showing customers exactly what their house is going to look like before it gets built.
And talk to me about the problem that you're solving for people near you.
So people are making the biggest purchase of their lives, and they have no clue what their house is going to look like. So what we do is make it easy for the home builders to show exactly what their house is going to look like before it gets built.
Can you give me an example of the experience that people have? Usually you're just looking at, an architectural plan, an architectural drawing or something. But now, what is the experience sort of from beginning to end? Do they kind of feel like they're walking through the door, going up the staircase? Like, what is different for them?
Yeah, so one of the challenges for the home building industry is that they have actually billions of ways of configuring their homes, and they have dozens of different home models that they offer to their clients. But a show home really only shows one option. So the only solution that the home building industry is to have different show homes in different parts of the city, and having customers drive from one corner to another corner to another corner to look at all these different models, it's really not an effective use of their time. So with ResVR, what you can do is you can go to one sales office and you can see all of the different models and all the different options that work for you. And this way it makes it really easy to make a decision. And you can also customize the house based off of what you need. So you can show a 3-bedroom home as a 4-bedroom model option, or you could show it with the legal suite upgraded into the basement, rather than just what the standard offering is.
And I assume this saves some disappointment for people in the long run when they kind of walk into their finished new home.
Yeah.
And weren't quite expecting what they see.
Yeah, 100%. So I actually sold homes for Landmark Homes for 4 years, and I sold to over 200 clients, and there was a lot of buyer's remorse at the end of the process. It's not that they were really unhappy with the experience. It was more like, now that they've been through it once, they had a better idea of what they were looking for, and they wish that they had spent more money instead of less money, because they're making all of these really important financial decisions about their home without having the full information other than what it's going to cost. So as an example, you might see a really highly upgraded chef's kitchen, but it might cost $40,000 to get that. But if you can't see it, a customer is going to say, well, do we really need that? Is that really something we need to put into our home? And eventually they end up regretting it, because that is the kitchen that they want. And it's a really stressful decision to make that when you don't know what the outcome's going to be.
Absolutely. And was that part of the inspiration for you to start this company?
Yeah, so I worked in the video game industry and went to school for video game design, and combining those two areas of where I felt that there was a major market need of just really helping the home buyer understand what their house is going to look like, because it's the biggest purchase they're ever going to make. And until they can really understand exactly what that's going to look like, my mission's not over, because I really want the entire industry to use our technology to make it easy for the home buyer to make an informed decision on the biggest purchase of their life.
And how do the sort of contracting developers feel about having this tool? Because I assume that it's an upsell opportunity for them as well.
Oh yeah, so when you can show someone their dream house and explain to them how much extra it costs, you can almost justify the expense to them by telling them, well, this is something you're going to spend and live in for decades and pay off over decades. So it's really not spending $30,000 today. It's maybe adding $5 or $6 per day to your mortgage payment, which most people can afford to do. So it really takes this big scary number of spending $30,000, $40,000, $50,000 more and making it into a manageable monthly payment.
What's it been like growing this company in Calgary specifically? We have a national audience following, so what do they need to know about building a company here?
Yeah, so this is my second startup, and my first one was acquired 6 months after we left Alberta and moved to California. So our tech was really ahead of its time. And when I wanted to start my company again, I knew I wanted to do it in Alberta. But this time, my company originally was in Edmonton. And for the second iteration, we decided that it would be better to do it in Calgary. Seeing the investment that the city has made, Platform Calgary is like really a testament to all the events that happen there. Startup TNT has been amazing. All the accelerator programs there in Alberta, the grant funding you can get through Alberta Innovates. I mean, there's so many advantages, and really Calgary is an amazing city to live in, the most livable city in North America, and it's 2.5 hour flight to San Francisco. Great location, great quality of life, affordable. So comparing it to like Vancouver or Toronto, you can get a house for the cost of like a 1-bedroom apartment. So it just definitely has a lot of advantages. And for me, it was, my family have their business up in Edmonton from Alberta, but Alberta is really ahead of the times when it comes to home building. So it was a big reason for me to come here and build on my family's legacy, but also just the market need is that everyone's coming here, so we need to build houses.
People do need places to live.
Yeah.
What resources, networks, mentorships have been most valuable in positioning your company within the innovation ecosystem here?
Yeah, there's definitely like a few like champions of the ecosystem. So those people that are connectors that sort of help companies come in. Like I'm very new to Calgary. I haven't even lived here. Like it'll be 2 years in a couple of weeks. So I am really like the example of what's possible when you come here, know basically nobody. And by going to a vented platform, by joining accelerator programs, you get introduced to this ecosystem that really just wants to help and grow technology here. And I was very determined to prove you can build great technology in Alberta and not need to go else and build it. So yeah, I don't know if that really answers the question, but there's just so many programs, and I left Alberta in 2018. So coming back in 2023 at the end of the year, maybe it was 22. But yeah, I left Alberta in 2018. Basically none of these programs existed. There was no catalyzer program, there were no accelerator programs, there was no startup TNT, and everyone knew we needed to do something. But as a tech company back then, 6-7 years ago, you basically ran out of runway and you needed to go elsewhere. And that's not the case anymore. You can build an entire company and throw it massively here.
My last question for you is, what impact do you hope your startup will have on the industry in the next 5 years?
It's a great question. I want every major home builder in North America to use our technology. Or at least have copycats that also think, hey, that's a great idea, we should do that too. Because it's, if you're buying a car, you can customize it online, know exactly what you're gonna get, but for some reason when you're building a house and spending 10 times as much money, you just have to imagine what you're gonna get. And that process is very frustrating. It hasn't changed in decades, and that's why I'm building this business here.
Thank you so much for talking with me this evening.
My pleasure.
For more innovation news, visit digitaljournal.com.